United come to the Emirates. And at that point, I would have thought that people like Thomas Vermaelen will be sharpening their studs in anticipation of the return of the...
Because he likes to fall over a lot. You know what? I'm one of those guys, and I felt the same with Fabregas. My attitude was eventually, you know what? If you don't want to stay, go. Because and what made me feel a lot more comfortable was stumbling on that game against Cologne the other day. You know, I've been watching Arsenal almost in stress, trying for an entire couple of how many seasons now when this guy wasn't injured. And look, I'm not saying there's anyone better than him or whatever, but the amount of stress to see if Robin van Persie was going to score goals to get Arsenal wins. And that was what it came down to. If he didn't score goals, we were struggling. I watched Arsenal the other day in their beautiful new reserve strip, playing against Cologne, and the ease at which, I mean, I don't know, Cologne aren't one of the world-beating sides, but still the ease at which and just how more comfortable they looked with both Giroud and Podolski scoring goals, and just that side just looked a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? Composed and cohesive. When they weren't just all focusing on getting the ball to Van Persie to score. I think they've got players there, and I think a lot more goals will come from different players as opposed to just from the one guy when the league kicks off the season.
Absolutely. Listen, I worry that because we're Arsenal fans, we all suffer from this same kind of psychosis of playing lovely football, relying on Robin van Persie for goals like we used to rely on Ian Wright. And there's this huge kind of, we almost watch football differently to everyone else. But what you have to worry about, Dan, the one, I agree with you on all points. I think Giroud and Podolski will be good replacements for Robin van Persie. But let's talk of Alex Song going as well. And I think Alex Song is the most improved player in the English Premier League over the last 5 years.
Where's he
There's talk of him going to Barcelona. Barcelona have made bids. There's talk. There's whispers. Have a look on all the Arsenal sites.
Well, we don't need him because I mean, all he was good for was putting in great crosses for Van Persie to finish off.
I think Alex Song is a fantastic
no,
midfielder. And it's what everyone's looking for. It's like Andila Jolly at Pirates when he was playing at his peak. Pirates just couldn't be broken down, and that's what Song does for Arsenal sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would just caution against Alex Song going as well in the next 2 weeks before the transfer window closes. Would actually leave most Arsenal fans on a boat to Australia, going to
I don't know
or something. I can't see anything else.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, listen. In our scene we trust. That is the Arsenal mantra: is we trust in Wenger. He's been there since 1823, and we all support Arsene Wenger's way of doing things. This year he has actually bought, as we said the other day, he's bought a couple of quite young players, and we have to believe he knows what he's doing at cut price. And when UEFA decide that these big spending clubs and these big spending people like the Glazers and the Fenway Group and all them, when they are all cut down by Michel Platini and his new spending rules, Arsenal will be the last club standing, and that's what we have to trust in Arsene to do.
All right. So that's the Van Persie story. Now the other one closer to home today, and I was kind of shocked when, I don't know, when did that story come out, guys, about Kaiser Chiefs?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm talking about Kaiser Chiefs saying that they were still investigating whether he was arrested. And,
that came out an hour ago.
No, but how can they still be investigating that he was still arrested when he's already been given 50,000 rand bail and he was seen in the back of a police vehicle?
And his dad is the chairman of the club. Yeah, I know. I understand.
What the hell? Come on.
So if I can take you briefly through the timeline. Bobby Matang arrested at 12 o'clock yesterday. Everyone knew he'd been arrested. The Hawks then came out and said they weren't going to confirm who the bloke was, but he was taken from Natch Arena, which is a bit of a clue. It's the Kaiser Chiefs training ground. We've then got, there were two other people arrested in this absolute shambles, and they wouldn't give out the name. So Kaiser Chiefs then felt justified in saying, we're not really sure it's Bobby. But then I got a picture from a lad this morning, just before I went on ETV, and it was a picture quite clearly of Bobby Matang entering the police station last night, where he was banged up for the night before appearing in court this morning. Now, in court this morning, there's Bobby Matang. He was heavily involved in the financing and the building of the Mbombela Stadium. He's also been heavily involved in its management since, and I think that this revolves around what's happened since the World Cup. So not so much the tender that was thrown forward as the reason originally. I think Kaiser Chiefs played here quite a lot in 2010, 2011, and no one got any money for it, and that a lot of that money went. Bobby Matang in court this morning said that he's worth 14 million rand and he's got 4 million rands worth of cars, which suggests to me that he's probably got some kind of income from outside football, where he gets paid $100,000 a month by Kaiser Chiefs by his father that runs the club. So I think there's no question that Bobby's in there. We can't say he's guilty until that's proven. Kaiser Chiefs fans are very, very sensitive. I've had a lot of abuse today simply for reporting the facts. But I've never been a fan of Bobby Matang. I think that if Bobby Matang was removed from that club, from his position as general manager, whether he's innocent or guilty, just because of the stink that's erupted around this, I think that would be good for the club. And I'd like to see Kaiser Jr., who went to Harrow School in Britain, who opened the batting at Lords with Nick Compton about 6-7 years ago. I'd like to see Kaiser Jr. Take over the general manager role with Jessica, and we'll see a Kaiser Chiefs that works and a Kaiser Chiefs that operates within the kind of systems that I'm used to. That for me would be the way ahead for the Amakosi.
All right, cool, Neil. Are you still in the game reserve, by the way?
Mate, I'm still in the game reserve. I've got red hornbill right in front of me.
You got what?
Don't stop on a word hornbill, please. It sounds like something else disgusting going on, yeah?
No, mate, I'm an ornithologist. Yeah, I'm a real Twitterer, not a Twitterer, a Twitterer. And yes, rhino and all that across the Crocodile River, and half an hour down the road, there's Bobby Matang in and out of court this morning, £50,000 bail, and a story that might, it might just quietly go away. That's the way of things sometimes in this country. Other times, there is a man that actually died in all this, a potential whistleblower
really?
in Mpumalanga Council. If you look it up on Google, I don't want to throw anything into the bag here, but there was a man that was shot in mysterious circumstances when he was talking about revealing all about the Mbombela Stadium. So this could be a very, very big story, or it could just slide away to one side.
Yeah.
But having seen Amakosi win 6-0 last week, it's unfortunate that this would happen at this time, because this country relies on having a good Kaiser Chiefs team, a good, competitive, bright. People go to work with a smile on a Monday morning if Kaiser Chiefs win 6-0. I've seen it for myself again. So, I really hope that either they distance themselves from Bobby Matang, or Bobby is exonerated on all charges, because it's in all our interests, if we like sport in South Africa, whether it's cricket, whether it's rugby or football, to have a successful Kaiser Chiefs franchise. And that has to be my view, even though I think that Bobby Matang was a man who was working way out of his powers.
Yeah. All right, well, there we go. That's the word from the Arsenal fan.
Quick question.
Yeah, very quickly.
Neil.
Yeah.
Hi, Neil, it's Kate. I just want to find out, I just saw latest reports that Liverpool manager Brendan Rodgers is closing in on 2 signings. Who do you think it is?
Well, judging by Brendan Rodgers' current form, it'll probably be 2 players from North Wales that we've never heard of, or ex-Swansea players. But I don't have a lot of belief in Brendan Rodgers. I watched him as a youth coach at Chelsea, and then he went to Reading, where a couple of my young lads in my area in Buckinghamshire went to. He's a very, very good development coach.
Well, that's why he's gone to a small club.
Small club. How many titles have you got again?
Yeah, of course I accept that Liverpool are a big club. I think Brendan Rodgers is a small club manager. The names of the players that he's currently looking at haven't been released, I think, because he doesn't have a good network of international scouts. He doesn't have a good relationship with the top agents in the game. And I'll be interested to see what names they throw up probably over the next 2 days.
Yeah.
To kind of the only reason they've done this, okay, understand this, the reason they've done this and said we've got our eye on 2 players is so that we will make this kind of speculation, and we will start to discuss big players that could go to Liverpool, because the Anfield fans who demand European championships and league titles are distinctly unhappy with the small-time ways of Brendan Rodgers and the way that Kenny Dalglish ran the club before. I go right the way back to Roy Hodgson, where Kenny stabbed Roy Hodgson in the back, and maybe they should have stuck with Roy.
All right. Tweet here, someone trying to put all the stories together. Chris says, based on Oregon Hoskins comparison, talking about obviously the Lions.
Yes, no, I've read all of it. Fascinating.
Yeah, he says this is like putting Wigan in the Champions League above Spurs, just because. I don't see any problem with that. I mean, that makes sense to me as well.
If and this is entirely possible.
I'd put Wigan in the Champions League before Spurs.
I've already thought about that and tried to get support for that. But listen, well, this is the ththing. This is what I said to Mark Keohane. Is he still to come on your programme, or has he been on?
No, been on. He was on first.
Listen, what I said to Mark Keohane on Twitter just now was, these old rumbling rugby dinosaurs, in England it's the same, in Ireland it's the same, in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand as well. If you finish bottom of the league, which Spurs, there's every chance that Spurs will finish bottom of the Premier League at the end of the season, they will be relegated. If the Lions finish consistently at the bottom of Super 15 rugby, what more do they expect? Relegate them, bring in the fresh new side, bring in a side that politically was a very good idea anyway, bring in a side that, people like Cheeky Watson have worked for so long to create a megalith out of. And Port Elizabeth deserves good sport. I want to see, I think Maritzburg United are playing a couple of PSL games down there this season. Bay United never come up. Your cricketers down there are slightly out of the big waters, aren't they? The Warriors, and now you've finally got the Kings in Super Rugby. You can tap in to the most when you play a Test match at Port Elizabeth at St George's Park, it is the best atmosphere in this country. I'm sorry, I don't care what. I've been as an Englishman to many Test matches in South Africa, and Port Elizabeth provides the best atmosphere. We've seen the Springboks play there. Give them a chance. Relegate the Lions, because you promised for 7 years that they would have a chance. And the Lions,
you're going to get up some noses now, Mr. Collins.
No,
Yeah.
mate.
No,
I'm not. Because rugby clubs, rugby provinces, rugby franchises should be prepared to take promotion and relegation just like soccer teams do. Just like Jomo Cosmos did last year.
Yeah, but that's been a tradition for long. That's been part of the fabric of soccer for such a long time. So everyone accepts that's the way it is. This is a brand new thing for rugby. What I would have done, just to kind of make it a little more fair on both sides. And as I said, I think the Lions made their bet from 10 years ago already, as far as what's happening to rugby in Joburg. But what I would have done is said, right, okay, we've got 4 teams. Now we're going to have a playoff, and have a playoff between so they should have built the Kings in some way into a Currie Cup union, and they should have done that, and then had some kind of a playoff between the sides to ascertain who's going to get in there.
Of course, Darren, listen.
This has been handled very badly, I think. That's the bottom line.
I want to follow the Lions were going to stay up and give 40 million. That story seems to have died a death. The bloke's blocked me on Twitter. I can't find him. So I'd like to know where that story came from, why it never happened. And I said at the time, and I sent this to Zellum now and to Mark Keohane, why don't we have a Kings-Lions playoff home and away, add up the score
Because the Kings don't have a Super Rugby franchise yet. I mean, they've only just bought Catrakilis now. The thing is, with the players they've got now, the EP Kings would never beat the Lions probably in a playoff game for Super Rugby. So they should have actually said, build for the next 3 years, develop your side with a view to playing a playoff this year to see who's going to play in Super Rugby next year. I mean, it's a better way. Now what's going to happen is it's probably going to end up that at the end of Super Rugby next year, the Kings are going to end up playing the Lions. But now, what do the Lions do? How do they build a side to play in an international kind of competition? Because they're going to end up playing against a Kings side that's probably got a whole lot of players that have had Super Rugby activity. And play against the Lions side, they've probably lost half their players because they're not playing Super Rugby. So either way, it doesn't seem fair.
No. Listen, I'm worried about where do the Lions stars go now? Do they all decamp on match?
No one
to the
knows
Kings,
yet, because now
they all go to Ireland and France. I don't know.
I mean, now what's going to happen is that in Joburg, what's happening right now is Kevin de Klerk and his guys are going, okay, well, there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but they're now going to be spending all their time taking focus off Currie Cup and trying to convince their players that they must just hang around for the playoff at the end of next year's Super Rugby. What does a player do? He sits around for a year and a half with a view that he might get back into Super Rugby if they win a playoff game against a Kings side that they don't know. You won't know how many players they're going to buy. I mean, it's crazy.
It's a dreadful situation. Yeah. I accept that, but listen, I can give you one crumb of comfort to the Lions and to the people that run that franchise, is that I think now, because Kaiser Chiefs have got themselves into so much trouble at Mbombela, I don't think that they'll be allowed to play anywhere except Ellis Park from now on, and that could be a financial reward for the Lions to get the Chiefs down at Ellis Park and play all their games there. That might be the one way of sorting out all of today's storms and shenanigans, because it's a big stadium. It deserves to be full. As you and I know, it's a historic stadium. And it's going to be dreadful to see Ellis Park just lying there. Only Currie Cup crowds of 6,000 or 7,000 for the next, at least a year, maybe 2 years. Yeah. And that would be dreadful for South Africa, because Ellis Park holds so many memories, the World Cup winning memory. Something's got to happen there at Ellis Park.
Bring the Gunners there with Giroud and Podolski. You'll fill it every week.
I think they probably would, actually.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Neal. We got Gary Bailey also giving us the Man United view.
So give my regards to Gary.
All right, cool, bud. Thanks a lot for chatting. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
And I'll just cut off Gary's number. Okay, hopefully it's still there. My goodness, look at the time. We're marching on. Everything's just going so quickly. Is that the right number? Yes, it is. Okay, cool. Let's phone him. Gary Bailey. I don't know if you've chatted to him on the show. England 100 now. South Africa 105 for 5.
Trouble times.
Graham Orston says, "Come on, England, time to skittle the tail." Not so quickly, my friend. I think we've got enough anyway. Go on, Graham. Declare.
Yeah, I'm with that plan.
AB de Villiers gone, so Jacques Rudolph is there. Gary Bailey, good afternoon.
Yes, how you doing? Are you well?
Yeah, very well yourself.
Yeah, no complaints, thanks.
Gary basking in the glory of nicking an Arsenal hero as Man United go into... How many strikers you guys got now?
We've got enough. We've got Berbatov sitting on the bench, got Danny Welbeck, we've got Chicharito. There's a whole number of star strikers, but I'm surprised you actually called me as an Arsenal fan. I thought that might have been a difficult step to take.
No, we've dealt on the Arsenal side of things already. We've had our wailing and weeping already with Neal Collins, so he sends his regards, by the way.
Okay, cool.
So what's Alex going to play? What a 1-2-7 combination or something this season?
Well, you know what? You have to rotate players to keep them healthy. And in fact, if you go back to '99 when United with the treble, which is probably their greatest year, they had Andy Cole, they had Dwight York, they had Teddy Sheringham, and they had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, all top class players, and they all got a run and they all scored vital goals. And I think on a long season, it's good to rotate, and he's got that option now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, look, and that's the thing with the way football is, and with Champions League commitments, English Premier League commitments, and you obviously on a rotation basis, and having the depth in squad is the most important thing as well. So, there's the most difficult part is trying to keep all of these big names and big stars happy. Because at some stage someone's got to sit out, and you've got to make a decision depending on who you're playing with. That's probably the biggest challenge that they've got, which is why it's good that you've got a guy like Alex Ferguson, who's been there so long, to kind of manage that situation as opposed to worrying whether you've got enough strikers.
No, 100% correct. And I mean, if you get Man City with Carlos Tevez, it can go very pear-shaped quickly if a big ego feels he's not playing. So it is about managing the players, giving them a chance to shine, giving them a chance to prove themselves, creating a bit of rivalry. Like, for example, there's two good goalkeepers, Lindegaard and De Gea. They're going to battle it out this season, and you want literally two great players per position, so they're always on their toes. You give one a rest, you put the other one in, he does well. It just keeps the standard up, and that's what Sir Alex has been an absolute genius at, is that he gets the best from his team, away at Norwich on a cold February day. Those 11 players will go out and play 110%, as much as they will against Liverpool at home. And that's how he does it. He just rotates that squad. He gets players who are good, committed players, not too full of themselves, and over a season it works for him.
What happens to a guy like Berbatov now? Because I thought he was gone, but he wouldn't start a season with Man United this year. Decides to commit his future with the side. Now they got Van Persie in there as well. I mean, do you see him staying there much longer, or is he going to start looking at other pastures?
It depends whether he gets a game or two. When United were out here a couple of weeks ago and they played Amazulu in Durban, they actually played Berbatov in the Cantona role, just behind the front two. Yeah. And to be fair, he's one of the most talented footballers I've seen in a long time. I mean, his touch on the ball is phenomenal. And remember, Fergie paid 30 million for him. So, I mean, he's more than a decent player. And he was top goal scorer 2 seasons ago. So he's still got a lot to offer. He might drop a little bit behind the front two and just thread the ball through for Van Persie and Rooney. He might come on as a striker just to mix things up front for the sort of Carling Cup and some of the lesser games. Or he might move on. I mean, if you're Fergie and you paid 30 million for him, you'd want, I guess, 10, 12, 14 million back. Well, if the only offer he's getting are 3 and 4 million, he might say, no, I'd rather keep a player of that quality. I can use him, for the odd game, and I can use his experience. So it really is a matter of finances as well.
All right, just did you watch the Arsenal-Cologne game the other night?
No, I didn't. I like to watch good teams, so I normally watch United.
Never changes. No, because the feeling I got with I used to, and I mean, I don't know when last Man United struggled, but as an Arsenal supporter, you kind of watched Arsenal over the last 3-4 years. There was always that stress, that nervy edge about, are they going to cock it up today, or are they going to get the ball to Van Persie? But everything was very focused around one player. And I watched them against Cologne, and it just seemed to be more comfortable because Giroud can score goals, and obviously Podolski can score goals. Walcott's, filling that role a lot more these days as well. It just seems that now, without Van Persie there, it's kind of opened things up where you might find not one Arsenal player on the on the score sheet all the time, but you could pick from maybe 4 or 5 of those guys that are going to start scoring goals now.
No, absolutely. I mean, I don't think Arsenal have ever had a problem going forward. Yeah. And in fact, they're one of my favourite teams to watch. I always sort of joke with you about Arsenal, but actually,
I know you do say that on TV as well, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, they do. It's just in defence, and I think where Arsenal was lucky when he took over from George Graham is that he inherited that back four of Tony Adams, Steve Ballz, Dixon, Winterburn. I mean, it was a great back four. They gave you nothing. They kicked lumps off you. It was very difficult to get through them. Now I look at the back four and I think, Vermeulen's not bad, but Mertesacker really, and Sanye at full back is more of a midfielder. And you always look at Arsenal and get the impression you can score against them. And they hate going to Stoke, for example. They're always moaning even before they arrive. We're going to get hit. Because they just hate the physical side of it, and especially if Alex Song goes to Barcelona, that'd be a huge blow for you. So fantastic to get Podolski, Giroud, Santi Cazorla, brilliant players, but what's happening in defence? That's where the issue is. You've got to have big, strong centre halves who give you nothing, really mean, ugly-looking centre halves who stop you scoring, and that doesn't happen with the Arsenal. So once again, I think they'll have a season where we'll marvel at the football. But the trophy cabinet will be empty.
You might be let down at the back. I mean, I think the last time, they had guys like Vieira around, and also the creativity of a Petit, and then obviously Thierry Henry scoring goals up front. So but as you say, it is nervy times when you look at them defending against anything.
Just one thought for you, Darren, and this is something I know that all Arsenal fans will hate if it happens. Van Persie to come back to the Emirates and score the winning goal that gives Manchester United the league title.
Well, it probably will happen because it happens all the time. So I think we had that with Adebayor, if I'm not mistaken, when he was at Spurs, and he nailed 2 against us in one of the games. So I mean, I'm not even going to say anything because it probably will. He can score 1 as long as we score 3.
Yeah.
All right, Gary. Nice to chat to you. All the best, and enjoy the EPL season. Look forward to watching you on TV this season. Okay, bud.
Yeah.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There we go. That's Gary Bailey joining us on Ballz Visual Radio today.
We the best on 3. 1, 2, 3. We the best.
2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays to Fridays live on Ballz.co.za. Ballz.co.za.